Hey fellow YouTubers, I'm going to make a video here on replacing the air shocks on a 2002 Buick LeSabre. And I got half of it done. It would be completely done, but one of the shocks doesn't work. So I'll flip my camera around here and show you how I did it and also the problem that I'm having. So I ordered the shocks off of Amazon. They're Monroe's. There's the part number, MA822. It says airline not required, so I guess they would just work like regular shocks, but in this case they actually have air lines hooked up. And of course the first thing you want to do is jack your car up. Let me grab my light here. I jacked the car up on the side here, and then I put a jack stand there to hold it. And when you're doing the driver's side, light down here, this thing right here is a switch. And when this control arm, or whatever it's called, goes up too far, or so far, it moves this lever which turns on the air compressor that's in the passenger side corner of the trunk underneath, and that turns the compressor on, and then that pumps up your air line. There's one on both sides, and it will keep your vehicle from sagging too much if you have a lot of weight in the trunk, or 3 passengers, or if you have a tow hitch on here and hook up a trailer. It's pretty easy to do. On the bottom, well, let's see, get this up here where you can see. You can see the 2 bolts sticking up through the bottom of the shock there. And there's little clips on there, as you can see, that clip onto the shock absorber that hold the bolt. Keeps it, makes it go in tight. And I guess mine were rust free, so they came right out, but sometimes they're rusty. You might want to spray some WD-40 or something on there. And you can see the rubber boot on the shock there. That slides up and down inside there when the shock goes up and down. Now as far as this air line goes here, you don't have to take this clip off. You can just hang on to the plastic side, rotate it 90 degrees, and that takes it out of the groove. Let's see if I can get a better light. There's a groove on that plastic clip, and it takes it out of that, so it'll slip off of here. Oh, it actually has a little air in it, amazing enough. I was having trouble with the other side, so I hooked up the compressor on both sides and jacked this side up till the compressor kicked on, because on the other side I'm having trouble with the shock extending. It will not extend. Looks like I'm gonna have to get out my vacuum and do a little cleaning, because that kind of stuff will hold moisture and make your car rust out. Now on this side, because of that switch on the driver's side, you don't want to unhook your shock absorber and let this wheel, the brakes and everything, drop down too far, because you can break that switch there. So what I did is supported it with the jack. In this case, the reason it's like it is I was trying to jack it up high enough to turn on the compressor, which worked, but it still didn't extend the other shock. Now inside the trunk, this is what it looked like before you take it apart. And this little thing just supposed to unscrew, but this one's worn enough that it doesn't stay tight. It just snaps on and off. And then once you get that done, you can pull your carpet down, and then there's 2 bolts that stick up there through those holes. Take those bolts off and your shock will go down through the bottom. Now on top of that is this rubber boot. It just clips on there pretty easy, pretty much just protects the sharp edges. Now here, I'll show you over here what it looks like. not much to it, but there. And when the shock is in there, that's what it'll look like. Once you get the shock out, you can take the center nut out. You can do it now if you wanted to, but you might as well just leave it. Undo these two side bolts, and the shock will drop out of there. And then just don't forget to put your rubber boot back on when you're all done. I suppose it keeps the carpet from getting a hole in it. Now on the other side, this is where I'm having my problem. I cannot get this shock to extend. Yesterday, I bolted it into the top up there, and I took this tie down strap, I put my jack underneath the bottom of the shock, and then I wedged a piece of metal between the jack and up in here so the jack could not come up. I put the tie down strap on it and cinched it as tight as I could, and that shock will not extend. It is frozen. Now it's been sitting here all night. I'm going to try in a few minutes to see if there's any way I can pull it up, but I'm sure it won't, because I had a lot of pressure on it yesterday. I just got off the phone with Monroe. They checked, and they said leave it set upright like this for a few minutes, let the oil drain back where it's supposed to. Well, it's been sitting here for 2 days, and it still doesn't want to extend. So evidently there's something defective inside the shock. I don't know what. Again, this is your airline, and this is the clip that you don't have. A lot of guys just grab pliers and yank them off, but you don't have to. You just rotate it like that, and it's out of the groove. As you can see right on the top there, there's a little groove it sits in, and that's what holds it on. So well, I'll just leave it off now because, well, just a little bit of air in there. Now I've taken it completely off. Anyway, that's the nipple that the airline goes on to. It's a pretty good system when it's working, but I guess it's pretty common for these shocks to go bad. And these are the old ones. And that one doesn't want to go down. I think it's froze there. When you drove the car, it was like riding in a lumber wagon. The front was fine, but the back, there was absolutely no cushion. It just jarred your back really bad. So you didn't want to hit a very big bump very fast. Anyway, that's how you take them off, put them on. It's pretty easy to do. I guess the thing to do when you get your shocks, test them, make sure they open and close like they're supposed to. Because now I've had my garage where my wife usually parks her car and I usually park my car with this in here for 2 days. This will be day 3, waiting because their customer service wasn't open on Saturday or Sunday. And I think I'm going to button it all up and then have to wait a day or 2 for my new shock to arrive so I can put it back together. If you have one of these cars and you're not familiar with it too much, your battery's in the back seat, and it's pretty easy. Here's the back seat, and it just clips in the front there with those little clips. You push in the back. I don't know what that is. Guess I'll find out. Anyway, you just kind of slip it in the back, lift up your seat belts, and it snaps down in those 2 holes there. It's pretty easy to get in and out. And that's where one of your big fuse boxes is, if not the only one, I'm not sure. And your battery's over there. And I disconnected my battery on the negative side because otherwise when you have the doors open like this and working on it, you'll run your battery dry or dead. I just had this car detailed, and of course he had the doors open, shampooing the carpets and cleaning it, and the battery went dead. It's because evidently the lights don't shut off. Anyway, hope this helps you. I'm no mechanic. I just don't like spending $100 an hour plus to a mechanic for doing stuff that I can do, usually fairly easily. You all have a good day.